In 1912, when he went to the Leipzig Conservatory, he persuaded the authorities to allow him into the conducting class after only 6 weeks instead of the regulation 2 years. Here he studied Arthur Nikisch, whose magnetic personality and hypnotic power over the orchestra had first fascinated him at the age of 13. There is no doubt that Boult modelled himself on Nikisch as far as actual technique is concerned. In fact, he once said to me that when he returned from Leipzig, he was a carbon copy of Nikisch.
I did watch Nikisch very carefully, and I realized that he was inherently a very lazy man, as I am, and I saw that he was doing an enormous amount, far more with his fingers than most conductors do at all, because many conductors, as you know, have their fingers and wrists pretty stiff as they work. Mm-hmm. But and work it all from the elbow, that sort of way. But Nikisch was doing it with his fingers, and the result was the stick was a much more lively thing, much more expressive thing. And it was said at that time that Nikisch, if you shut him up in a glass box and told him to conduct 10 bars of anything, you could tell at the end of the 10 bars what he was conducting.
You may not know the piece that Sir Adrian is conducting here, but it's a wonderful example of his economy of gesture and yet concentration. Every movement he makes, whether it is with the stick or the hand or just the eyelids, is there for the players. He is not mirroring his emotions, but allowing them to project the music. Let's watch that little passage from Holst's Perfect Fool ballet music again, this time with the music.
He said, oh, young man, you work much too hard, you see. You've got to do it all with your stick, and you've got to throw the juice over the orchestra with the stick. I never forget that, rather ungentlemanly expression. What he meant was you've got to actually project what you think and what you feel, and so he's keeping it to yourself and getting into esteem, because nobody's getting anything out of it at all. You've got to get it out there, and that is the problem, and that's why one uses an implement.
Now, most modern conductors work entirely on their elbows, and their wrists and fingers are quite stiff. Some of them work with their wrists, but many of them don't work with anything but the elbow. And you can hear the elbow if you switch on a loudspeaker and hear them over wireless. You will know that they're conducting with their elbows and not with the point of the stick. Because what I try and aim at is what I'm trying to teach any of the young people who have the patience to listen to me, that if you keep those two fingers a little apart, you can pivot in every way. You can work the whole thing without moving a wrist at all, even. And you bring the wrist in when you need a wider sweep. But that is the crux of the whole thing.